Hello dear students, welcome to Vikasana YouTube channel. This is the part 2 video of CPU scheduling. In this video, we will be studying further on process scheduling. Under this, we will be learning schedulers. We'll learn basic concepts of preemptive and non-preemptive scheduling and scheduling criteria. There are two main types of schedulers, long-term scheduler, also known as job scheduler, and short-term scheduler, also known as CPU scheduler. Long-term scheduler selects one of the program from secondary memory and puts it to the ready queue. Whereas short-term scheduler or CPU scheduler will select one of the process from ready queue, which is in the primary memory, and allots CPU for execution. The short-term scheduler is invoked very frequently, maybe once in milliseconds or microseconds. Since CPU is a very fast component and it keeps swapping between the execution of processes, the short-term scheduler must be very fast in its job. It should very frequently select one process from ready queue and allocate CPU to it. Whereas long-term scheduler is expected to work very slowly because it is invoked very infrequently, maybe once in seconds or minutes, because it gets a chance to select a process from secondary memory and put it to primary memory when a process reaches terminated state. That is, when one process completes its execution, only then the long-term scheduler has to select another process from secondary memory and put it to primary memory. Hence, it's needed to work very infrequently. The long-term scheduler controls the degree of multiprogram. So, degree of multiprogramming andre enu annadu next question agutte. Degree of multiprogramming is the number of processes which are currently kept in the primary memory of the computer. That is known as degree of multiprogramming. The idea is to keep more number of processes in the primary memory so that the CPU will never sit idle. Whenever a process suspends for IO or any other operation, CPU can automatically jump to do computations of yet another process. That's the idea. So degree of multiprogramming is generally kept high in order to keep the CPU busy. Generally, there are two types of processes, IO bound processes and CPU bound processes. An IO bound process spends more time doing IO operations than doing computations. It will have very short CPU burst requirements, whereas CPU bound process spends more time on CPU doing computations than doing input-output operations on IO devices. It has long CPU burst requirements. The long-term scheduler should choose a proper blend of IO-bound processes and CPU-bound processes so that both IO devices and the CPU are used in an optimum fashion. Sometimes it so happens that degree of multiprogramming might be too high. The long-term scheduler would have loaded too many programs onto the main memory, and all these programs or processes in main memory, they will be a load on the CPU. CPU has to execute them. Whenever CPU is overloaded with work, too much of work, its performance might come down. In such cases, there is another scheduler, another type of scheduler known as medium-term scheduler, which is also present in the operating system. This medium-term scheduler will remove some of the processes from CPU contention. In fact, it will swap them out from ready queue to another queue. And the CPU will be relieved of little bit of load. When the number of processes in the ready queue are reduced, the CPU will perform better and it will complete more number of processes in a given unit of time. Once the load on the CPU reduces after few processes complete their execution and end, then the medium term scheduler will put the swapped out processes which were partially executed earlier into the ready queue again. So these swapped in processes will later get the CPU, they execute and end. So in this diagram, we are also able to see the IO waiting queues. This is the general procedure of process execution. A process moves from ready queue to CPU. During its execution, whenever it requires an IO, it might go to IO waiting queue, execute the IO operations and later come back to ready queue. This procedure happens regularly in the operating system. Along with this, the medium term scheduler will be added so that the medium term scheduler keeps an eye on the degree of multiprogramming. Whenever it increases, whenever the degree of multiprogramming is too high, uh, some of the processes will be swapped out onto another queue and later they will be swapped in once the load reduces on the CPU. So basically medium term scheduler is required for reducing the degree of multiprogramming and improve the performance of the CPU. So now we know that three types of schedulers are in use on the operating system. Long-term scheduler to select the processes from secondary memory and put them into primary memory. Short-term scheduler to select a process from ready queue and put it to the CPU for execution. Medium-term scheduler to reduce the degree of multiprogramming in the computer. Whenever a CPU switches execution from one process to another process, which generally happens during multiprogramming, the operating system has to save the state of the old process which was executing on the CPU and load the saved state of the new process. So this is very important so that later when a suspended process resumes execution, it starts from where it was left out earlier. So this whole process of saving a state of old process and loading the saved state of new process is called as context switch. The context switch time is a pure overhead. System cannot do any other useful work during this time. So context switch time should be kept as less as possible so that the overhead on the computer reduces, overhead on the operating system reduces. The context switch time is generally dependent on the hardware support. Better the hardware configuration, lesser the time required for context switch. During context switch, the state of the old process is saved and the state of the new process will be loaded to the operating system. This state is generally saved on the process control block. Where do we save the state? It's through its process control block. Whatever is the current set of values in the PCB will be the current state of the process. So saving the state of a process means saving its current process control block. Loading the state of new process means loading the values of the process present in the process control block. So this whole process of saving the PCB of old process and loading the PCB of new process is called as context switch procedure. Now let us learn few basic concepts of scheduling. There are two types of scheduling, preemptive and non-preemptive scheduling. A short-term scheduler has to select one process from the ready queue and allocate the CPU every now and then because CPU switches among the processes for execution very frequently. Short-term scheduler has to make CPU scheduling decisions in the following 4 scenarios. First, when a process switches its state from running to waiting, or a process switches its state from running to ready state, or it switches from waiting to ready state, or a process terminates. In these 4 scenarios, the short-term scheduler has to make a CPU scheduling decision in order to pick one of the process in the ready queue and allocate CPU to it. So under these 4 scenarios, if scheduling happens under 1 and 4 criteria or scenario, we call the scheduling process as, or the scheduling type as non-preemptive scheduling. Because if you see the scenario 1 and 4, scenario 1 says process has switched from running to waiting state. Scenario 4 says a process has terminated. In these 2 scenarios, the process has voluntarily given up the CPU. When a process jumps from running to waiting, it needs IO operations, so it has automatically changed its state. It's not the CPU which has forcefully suspended it. It is the process itself which chooses to go to a waiting state. And whenever a process terminates, it doesn't need the CPU anymore. So voluntarily it would have given up the CPU. So in both these scenarios, if a scheduling decision happens, we call it as non-preemptive scheduling. Whereas if the scheduling happens in the scenario 2 or 3, that is scenario 2 is process switches from running to ready state. Scenario 3, process switches from waiting to ready state. In both these cases, forcefully the CPU has to be taken back from a running process. So when a process switches from running to ready state, why does it change state? Because some other high priority process would have interrupted the CPU. That's why forcefully the currently running process will be suspended. And whenever a previously waiting process comes to ready state, actually it was suspended earlier, so it will have some priority to get the CPU. So in both these cases, forcefully the process which is running on the CPU will be suspended and new process has to be given a chance to execute. Since forcefully the CPU was taken back from the CPU in both these scenarios, we call the scheduling decision in these 2 scenarios as preemptive scheduling. Now let us see what are the different scheduling criteria. So in order to implement the short-term scheduler to select processes from ready queue, various scheduling algorithms have been designed. In order to measure the performance of these scheduling algorithms, we use 5 criteria: CPU utilization, throughput, turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. CPU utilization means the amount of time CPU was busy in process execution. So how much time the algorithm kept the CPU busy doing computations is the measure named as CPU utilization. Throughput means the total number of processes that completed their execution per time unit. Turnaround time is the amount of time it took for a process to complete its execution. Waiting time means the amount of time a process has been waiting in the ready queue. Response time means the amount of time it took for the scheduling algorithm to give the first response to the process. So these are the 5 different criteria. We say an algorithm to be good, scheduling algorithm to be good, if it has maximum CPU utilization and throughput, whereas minimum turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. The optimization criteria for scheduling algorithm are therefore maximum CPU utilization, maximum throughput, minimum turnaround time, minimum waiting time, and minimum response time. Now to improve a scheduling algorithm's performance, we have to focus on maximizing its CPU utilization and throughput and minimizing its turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. Thank you, dear students. Keep me posted on your questions on my email ID, drchandrakalahd@gmail.com. Please do like, share, and subscribe Vikasana channel. The continuation of this part will be in part 3, which is in my upcoming video. Thank you.